families over the world vary and increasingly adapt to global trends, it is irrefutable that the family is one of nature's masterpieces, as George Santayana puts it. It's International Day of Families, and today we observe the efforts of many of our families and celebrate this masterpiece. Hi, I'm Theodore Henry. Welcome to Jamaica Magazine, and thanks again for inviting us into your homes and families, or familia, or ja ting, that's in different languages, or however you may say it. Today we talk about how you can better help a family by adopting the idea of adoption. And we'll share some more with you on this international observance. So stay with us as I take you through today's magazine.
Did you know that in a recent survey done by the OCA in schools across Jamaica, 43% of the students received inappropriate messages from strangers? The OCA wants you to be smart online. Never speak to persons you don't know. Parents, encourage your children to be social but be smart.
This message was brought to you by the Office of the Children's Advocate with support from UNICEF.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, May 15. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says government intends to spend $160 million to repair and upgrade water systems across the Kingston Metropolitan Region. The expenditure, along with other measures, Mr. Holness says, will ease worsening water woes in Kingston and St. Andrew, as well as parts of St. Catherine.
The plan for meeting our future water needs consists of key components, which includes major transmission main replacement and upgrade, continuing the non-revenue water reduction project, but more importantly, increasing water production through the construction of a 15 million gallon water treatment plant on the Rehoboth River.
In Parliament Tuesday, Mr. Holness said the water treatment plant will be built through a public-private partnership at a cost of $60 million. The plant is expected to increase water supply to Kingston and St. Andrew, as well as Portmore, by 20%. Other projects include the upgrade and repair of water transmission mains across the corporate area. Among them, the installation of $60 million worth of pipeline in communities which fall between 6 Miles and North Street. 5 kilometers of connection will also be made along Washington Boulevard. Other water projects include the upgrade of the Stanton Terrace to Moresco Road transmission main, Kings House Road to West Kings House Road, Norman Manley Airport Roundabout to Port Royal, and Seaview to Jacks Hill.
We understand the great level of frustration and the inconvenience this has caused in affected households and places of business. And most importantly, Mr. Speaker, we appreciate the patience and understanding being exercised by residents.
In the meantime, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the state will be increasing the National Water Commission's trucking allowance. $100 million has been budgeted to truck water to the most affected areas in the Kingston metropolitan area. The Prime Minister also revealed that he would be ramping up the distribution of water tanks to drought-ridden communities. So far, over 500 water tanks have been delivered to 4 constituencies in the corporate area.
I take this opportunity to make an appeal to residents to conserve. Now is the time that we have to conserve.
Still in Parliament Tuesday, Energy Minister Fayval Williams says Wigton Windfarms Limited will officially be listed on the main market of the Jamaica Stock Exchange on May 22. In April, 11 billion Wigton Windfarm shares went on sale at 50 cents per share. Of the 11 billion shares, 2.2 billion was set aside for public sector workers. In her inaugural sectoral presentation, Minister Williams said the initial public offer demonstrates the appetite of the Jamaican people to invest in the island's energy sector.
The lead broker, Mayberry Investments, has indicated Some 31,000 Jamaicans will own shares in Wigton, part of Jamaica's energy future. What is more noteworthy, Mr. Speaker, is that these 31,000 Jamaicans were willing to invest some $14 billion when $5.5 billion was on offer.
In other news, the Ministry of National Security will be increasing its engagement with the Office of the Children's Advocate to provide increased safety and security for women and children. Minister Horace Chang made the pledge as he condemned the recent killing of 17-year-old Stefika Smith in Clarendon. The police reports that Stefika's body was discovered in George's Pen district on Monday after she had gone missing on May 11. And finally, the development of Jamaica's first artisan village to be located at the Hampden Wharf in Falmouth, Trelawny is progressing on schedule. The artisan village will be ready in time for the 2019-2020 winter tourist season, which begins in December. Ground was broken in 2018 on the US $5.7 million Hampden Wharf development project, which consists of the artisan village and other attractions to pull more tourists to Falmouth. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett says the artisan village is more than 75% complete.
We are advised by the contractors that we would have a complete unit ready for inspection by the end of June, so we can begin to get our entrepreneurs connected with the facility, and inspection can be done. They could have a sense of what a model shop is going to look like, and then could conclude their arrangements with the team with regards to their contractual arrangements.
Mr. Bartlett provided the update following his recent tour of the project. The Artisan Village will feature 47 shops with 5 themed restaurants and bars, 12 mini stalls, 18 artisan shops, and 12 major shops. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
International Day of Families is a special day. It's packaged, parceled, and set aside to be celebrated in Child Month. But if you want to make an impact in a child's life today and change your family for the better, here's an idea.
The Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA, has taken steps to make the adoption process much easier. Joining me is Adoption Coordinator, Mrs. Maxine Bugelo, who will be giving us some information about the changes made. Thank you for coming, Mrs. Bugelo.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we're going to go straight into it. What are the changes made?
Okay, before 2016, we had a 2-tier system. First, applicants were asked to complete a pre-adoption form and then submit that to us. Now that would normally take some time. So we reviewed the system and said that it would be best if maybe we erase that part of the process. So now what applicants have to do is that they go straight to our website and where they will find the adoption forms. The forms include the application form, the medical form, one for the child and the applicants, and the guidelines which outline all the information and all the required documents that need to be submitted with the application form.
Awesome. And what are the required documents?
The required documents are the birth certificates, marriage certificates if they are married, job letters and income statements, references from persons who know them, not a family member. And the references should not necessarily speak only to the person being a nice or a good person, but it should speak to how would they care for a child. That should be included, their capacity to care for a child. If the child is in school, we would need a child's last school report as well.
And when all of that is completed, what's the next step?
The next step would be submit all of those to the CPFSA. When it is here now, we would review to ensure that all documents are here. Now, if all the information is there, the application is reviewed, given a number, and assigned to a caseworker. And a letter would be sent to the applicant informing them of this and who the person is. Once the caseworker gets that application, that caseworker would now start to prepare appointments to interview both the applicants, the child, and whosoever, the birth parents, because the birth parents are also very important in the process.
And what if there are no birth parents?
Well, if there are no birth parents, we would have had death certificates for the parents if they have died. If they are nowhere around or cannot be located, there are avenues that we would have to take internally to ensure that we try our best to find them.
And once that's completed, what's next?
Once that is completed, the officers then would have to do a comprehensive report. And that report would have to be compiled and then submitted to the adoption board, because the adoption board is the only agency in Jamaica that can approve adoption at that level. So after the approval, it is submitted to the adoption board and approval is given, then it is now preparation for court. Because court is where it is finalized legally.
How long does that process usually last?
The entire process? We are at now 3 to 6 months, depending on if there are no challenges.
And once you get to court, then?
Once we get to court, court is held depending on the availability by the court. Some courts have set dates, while others will have to submit our documents and await their decision as to when we can come to court. Now, once the court has signed off on those documents, for adoption orders, it is the applicant's responsibility to collect those, and they will take a copy to the RGD, where they will apply for the new birth certificate for the adopted child.
And is there any cost associated with any of this process?
No, adoptions are free in Jamaica.
Is there anything else that Jamaica needs to know about the process?
We need adopters, prospective adopters, to understand that it is important that they submit all the documents, and it is also important that they are truthful in the stories that they give pertaining to how a child is placed in their care. Because what we find is that sometimes when we approach birth parents, they are not aware that this child is being adopted. They know that somebody is caring for their child, but that was not the arrangement that they adopted for. Persons generally who wish to adopt should love a child, should really want to take care of a child, because it's a lifelong investment. Persons, they should have proper accommodation for their child. They should be able to financially can afford to take care of that child. And they should be willing to accept that child as theirs. And that is very important, because we see sometimes that persons adopt for many different reasons, and this can affect the relationship of that child for the rest of their lives.
How can people reach out to you to find out or to just inquire about the adoption process?
Okay, we have an email address, adoption@childprotection.gov.jm, and our straight line to the unit is 922-1751.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Bugalo.
You're welcome.
Did you know that the EU has been doing a lot of work in Jamaica? The EU provided some 23 billion Jamaican dollars to help people living in sugar-dependent areas. This means new houses for sugar estate workers, rehabilitated roads, improved schools, health centers, vocational training, business grants, and a wide range of action to improve the lives of people in sugar-dependent areas.
Life sweeter for true with the EU.
Now, this year's International Day of Families is being celebrated under the theme Families and Climate Action, with a special look at increasing awareness on climate change, among other things. The simple reality is this: there are many things that we do in our homes that impact climate change. Take a look at this.
Researchers say that climate change trends for the Caribbean include increased temperatures, rising sea levels, stronger and more frequent storms and hurricanes, and unpredictable rainfall patterns. In Jamaica, many older persons will tell you that there was a time when they could easily predict the rainy season, and they would use that prediction to decide when to plant their crops. But this has changed. A warmer earth means an atmosphere with more energy and moisture. As in other parts of the world, these two factors result in more extreme Caribbean weather, such as floods, hurricanes, heat waves, and droughts. From 2013 to 2015, Jamaica underwent its worst drought in 50 years. Many people in the city didn't have water in their pipes. In rural areas, water in springs and streams dried up. Jamaica's eastern parishes got 90% less than their normal annual rainfall. Agricultural production fell by more than 30%. Losses due to crop failures and wildfires were estimated at $1 billion. Fast forward to 2017, and there were many incidents of flooding all over the country. The increased irregularity in rainfall that led to severe drought on one hand and extreme flooding on the other is a sign of a changing climate. Scientists have also documented a strong connection between the impacts of superstorms like Hurricanes Sandy and Maria and the human-caused global warming. In Helshaw, the fishing community can tell many stories of the sea now being in places where houses once stood. In Negril, the ocean is now much closer to the hotels than it was several years ago. So, climate change is real, and it is changing how we live in Jamaica. In part 3 of this video, you will hear more about what we as Jamaicans can all do to help.
Let's get a little breeze on this land. All right. Now let's get some bounce in the rhythm. All right. Let's get some fire on our hearts. Now that is what we call all right. Run, come, get some Jamaica.
Activities for National Workers' Week and Labor Day 2019 were recently unveiled. Get the details next.
Our children deserve better, and they need to know that they are protected and that we have their backs at all times.
And so, this Labor Day will be focusing all our attention on children. Under the theme, Child Safety, It's You, It's Me, It's All of we will labor to make our communities much safer places for their youngest residents.
This is a responsibility that we must take very seriously. Collectively, we must assure them safe passage as they journey to adulthood and national productivity.
The major charge for the 2019 observation will be on road safety for children. Within the past 5 years, over 120 children have died on our roads, and a lot more have suffered life-altering injuries.
This is unacceptable for a country that consistently says how we love our children.
5 schools across 4 parishes have been chosen as the national projects. They are Holland Primary in St. Elizabeth, Barretttown and John Rollins Primary in St. James, Fair Prospect Primary in Portland, and Papine High School in St. Andrew. Works will include brightening of pedestrian crossings and crosswalks, constructing sidewalks and bus laybys, installing perimeter fencing, and repairing roadways.
Our work on Labor Day must take into consideration many elements of child safety and security, including the physical environment.
We invite Jamaicans to volunteer in activities geared at making our children safe and secure as they move about our communities.
These activities could be at schools where they spend most of their days, at church where they gain their spiritual support, and in their community spaces where they socialize, play, and chill out.
We know the creativity of the Jamaican people, and we expect and welcome the many different ideas that will flow. As before, we encourage people to register their projects with the municipal corporations or with the Labor Day Secretariat in my ministry or on the GIS Labor Day portal.
Labor Day celebrations kick off with a church service at the Meadowbrook United Church on May 19. The period will also be used to celebrate our labor movement through National Workers' Week under the theme, Yes to Decent Work, No to Child Labor.
We believe that the issue of child labor is everybody's business and that it is an unacceptable and illegal practice which must end.
Wreath-laying ceremonies to highlight the labor movement are planned for Monday, May 20 at Sam Sharp Square in Montego Bay, as well as the National Heroes Park and corner of Ocean Boulevard and Peachon Street in Kingston.
Let us come together on Labor Day in the interest of our children, ladies and gentlemen.
If you can't do it for yourself, do it for your children. Do it for my children. Do it for your children. Do it for our children.
Find a community project near you and let us labor together because child safety, it's me, it's you, it's all of it.
The following is brought to you by MOCA, the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency with kind support of NIA and USAID.
Criminal minds think they are cunning. The major organized crime and anti-corruption agency have them running. Your friend a shout, come scam. Take time running, are we ready for the ops? Drive up on your block, step out now we black cyber take a boy your laptop. Pull up every lock, no evidence to drop. We put it in a cuffs and now we have the underground. Sin you say scam, you better look out for. When you move corrupt, better look out for. Please say you get wet, look out for. Look out for, look out for. From you say scam, you better look out for. When you move corrupt, better look out for. Please say you get wet, look out for. Look out for, look out for.
The proceeding was brought to you by MOCA, the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency with the kind support of NIA and USAID.
MOCA, MOCA.
As you may have heard earlier in the show, this 24-hour period is being celebrated as International Day of Families, simply because the United Nations recognizes the family as one of the most important components of society. But here are some things that you should know about this day. First, International Day of Families provides an opportunity to bring greater conversations around the social, the economic, and the demographic issues impacting families over the world. Second, it is a chance to look at the important role that the family plays. Third, this year's theme, Families and Climate Action, is focusing on Sustainable Development Goal, SDG 13. Now, there are two targets under SDG 13. Target 13.2 looks at how to integrate climate change measures into national policies, strategies, and planning. And Target 13.3 focuses on improving education, raising awareness and human and institutional capacity on climate change mitigation, adaptation, impact reduction, and early warning. So here's our charge to you. Get educated on the issues surrounding climate change and do what you can to help address this global phenomenon. It's a simple charge to make Jamaica the place of choice to live and, of course, to raise your families.
and the traffic lights till somebody get hurt and the tears start cry. Save a life for the kids, for you and I, save kids' lives. Make the road safe whether day or night, for pedestrians, passengers, cars and bikes. Save a life for the kids, for you and I, save kids' lives.
Hey man, it's our job to keep the road them safe. Have to take care of the youth them so we know them safe. And obey the road code, don't race. No bother with the speeding, cause make face. And check your light them and your tires and brakes. Riders on the pillions who left the helmet. Put on the cell phone, no send no text. No matter what color they on your plate.
When you're on the road, take your time. When you're on the road, bear this in mind. When you're on the road, you can save a life. When you're on the road, when you're on the road, I beg you please be safe. Wear your seatbelt to keep you safe, and make sure your helmet's in place when you're on the road.
Hey, follow me. Well, everybody drive good and walk good. Then teach the youth them how to cross good. I beg you obey the road signs, park good. And put the young ones in a car seats, all good. And everybody drive good and walk good. And we say young and old, I beg you cross good. Remember the dark clothes at night, that is not good. From you I use up the sidewalk, it's all good.
When you're on the road, take your time. When you're on the road, bear this in mind. When you're on the road, you can save a life. When you're on the road, when you're on the road, I beg you please be safe. Wear your seatbelt to keep you safe, and make sure your helmet's in place when you're on the road. When you're on the road, when you're on the road.
And this is where we leave you for today. If you missed anything, you can watch it all again on our website or our YouTube page. And don't forget to keep up with us via our Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter pages. As you go throughout the rest of today, think on some of the good gifts of life. Gifts like having a family, which Pope John the 23rd describes as the first essential cell of the human society. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Theodore Henry. You take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.